We have Anna Hagemann Rise from Froosh. Thank you. A very different field that the Froosh is working on.
So now I think it'll be quite interesting for you. I think it's a great setup here. You have two very different industries. You have the fashion, and then you have consumer goods, and that particular it's in the juice industry. And you have two very different industries in terms of where we are with responsibility and sustainability. I think the fashion industry it's very, very new still. You're one of the first front runners, definitely, and I think it's a very, very important place to start tackling issues of sustainability and responsibility, particularly because there's so much there, and as you said yourself, there's so many different steps all the way, and you don't even talk a lot about the first steps back in China, and I completely understand it. It's just there's so much to do in the fruit industry where I'm working at. It's been quite a focus for quite a while, right? Oranges from Brazil, you have bananas from Guatemala. People are starting to think about it, like where do the things that you put in your mouth, where are they from, and is it a good thing that we buy these things? And that's what I'm going to tell you a little bit more about today. First, I'll just give you a brief introduction to Froosh, the company in itself, not because you're not here because you want a big marketing presentation. That's not what you're going to get, but you just need to know who we are, right? I'm sure you've seen it in Arkaski and other places in Finland as well. I think at the end of the lecture, when we have questions, we'll just throw some up to you. But let me see this one. So, first, there's no way we can we turn this one off? Only that? Got it. No mind. Okay.
I think you have to press it.
Really? It's not working? Okay, fine. Okay, so there you go. That's what we call ourselves. Scandinavia's #1 fruit smoothie. It is 100% fruit. There's no sugar, there's no additives, there's no bad stuff. Schnilz, nada, zero. It's all just fruit, right? Crushed in a bottle, in a glass bottle, of course, that's recyclable. Very important for us. And we call ourselves #1 because we're the market leaders in most of the Scandinavian countries, at least. What makes us us? We like to say that it's very simple, it's pure, and it's very straight up. And when we say straight up, we mean in our communication as well. Also related to sustainability and responsibility and all the things that we're going to talk about today. And you'll see it in a little second. We don't like to hide anything, call it transparency, or call it just, bold, honest, try and say what's going on. We like to say that out loud. 3 things. That's what we tell our marketing people, our communication people, when they have to communicate. What is Froosh? First of all, we have to be the best quality smoothie in the market. So that means we only buy the best fruit, right? We can't compromise on that one. It has to be the best quality. We have to. Otherwise, you, our consumers, won't drink it. We have to do that. Second of all, we call it a Believe in Trade Not Aid. We actually changed it from our Fruit Farm program. That's what it used to be. Right here, it used to say our Fruit Farm program, which is the foundation of what has made us start to believe in trade not aid. And that's my program and all the stuff that I'm going to talk to you about today. And last but not least, we like to call it a cheeky personality. We like to say things in an honest and bold way, and if it's possible, with a little bit of provocation, a little bit of humor, then that's all good for us. Line up, not that important for you guys. You're not buyers, or you are buyers, you're consumers, but you're not going to invest in us. But anyways, we have a lot of different kinds of products, of course. Our production, the supply chain in itself is so that at least 50% of all the fruit that we have in our smoothies are from developing countries. And when I say at least, it's a promise that we have made to ourselves, and I have to make sure that we always abide to that. We can't suddenly go on and say, well, now it's trendy to only use berries from Poland and carrots from Denmark, and then make a recipe out of that. No, we have to have at least 50% from developing countries. In this one, which is one of our best sellers, we have 99% from developing countries. So I would say, as a general rule, it's almost about 85 100%. And we have to. It's a commitment. It's very important for us that we do that. Then it's being bottled in Europe. You can't really find a lot of bottling plants, unfortunately, in Malawi, for instance, where we buy a lot of our fruit from. So, blah, blah, blah. We like to say that we win various awards, and we do. It looks pretty good, right? Doing a good job. So, this one was the first campaign advertising we ever did in Froosh. Do you remember it? It was here in Helsinki, and it's been running twice. We're not in Helsinki, sorry, but it was in Helsinki. No one? No? This is Jakob from Froosh. Anyways, what we did was that we said, well, we have a fruit farm program where we send out staff and consumers, we send out media to go and work on working visits in fruit farms. I'll tell you more about it in a second, but we want to communicate that. We want to tell the world that, hey, we're actually prioritizing going down to the farm, seeing what's going on, and then going back and communicating those stories. So that's what we tried to do under this tagline. It's called Nobody Knows Fruit Like Froosh. And then we had a bunch of big posters at the tunnelbans in Stockholm and in Helsinki and so on, trying to show this message. And we've actually been running it a couple of times in Helsinki. This was like, I would say it's the first step. It was like, we believe that the world should see that we're doing this, but we're not completely sure that we want to tell the world what we really believe in politically about how to change the whole poverty line in the world yet. So it was a first attempt of a small company that wants to go out and say something different, but not completely as bold as we want it to be, which is where we are right now. Blah, 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 lots of figures, doesn't matter, it's going good value share, la la la. Konnichiwa Japan, we just opened up in Japan about, had our own office 10 months ago, and things are moving quite fast over there. So right now, the core markets are Finland, definitely, it's Denmark, it's Sweden, it's a Swedish company. It is the Baltics, Iceland, we just started in Spain and France and the Canary Islands, and then we have Japan, because we like to do things a little bit different. It's a very interesting market, very, very different. Different requirements than anywhere else, but interesting. So, this is why I'm here today, actually. It's Fruit on a Mission. That's the project. Can you even see anything? That's a bad slide. So, anyways, I'm just gonna do like this. What this is the whole core of everything that we like to communicate whenever it comes to Fruit on a Mission. That is the trips, the fruit farm trips, where we send out, as I said, staff, consumers, customers, our direct customers, that's our kioski, for instance. And then our consumers, that's you guys, you're buying it from our kioski, right? So we send consumers, customers, staff, media, photographers, journalists, ambassadors. When I say ambassador, some kind of public figure that we believe can open some doors to the media and to you guys that we can't do ourselves because we're a small little commercial company. So we're inviting all kinds of different people to come and then spend 1 week in a fruit farm in a developing country. And then for that 1 week, then you're going to live in the farm. You're going to live very basic. You're going to eat the same food as the workers are. You're going to get up very early in the morning, go out, and then you're going to learn about the fruit. So that means learn about the harvest, learn about the growing, learn about the pruning, all those processes to become experts. And it's a bit naive to think you can go down for 1 week and become experts, and we know that, but at least you'll get a lot more profound knowledge than you would have been otherwise. Yet, the most important thing is that after lunch, it's completely dedicated to go out and visit the schools, visit the health clinics, talk to local politicians, talk to the farmers, talk to the kids, talk to the community, and try and get as good an understanding of what kind of effect and impact that the fruit farm has on building sustainable communities. So, we don't have a script before we go. You know, this is a risk that we take, that the farm will actually going to give a good story, but they always do, always. So I'm not nervous, not anymore at least. We've been to India, Thailand, Ethiopia, Malawi, 9 times by now. Peru, Guatemala, Ecuador, and I might miss a few more. But 24 trips in the last 3 years is what we've been doing. So we started about 4 years ago, and in the beginning it was more of a curiosity. Hey, we're buying all this fruit. We need to know what's going on. We need to know if it's a good thing to do this. So we did that, start to send people out there, and then slowly we came home and we were completely uplifted about the things that we saw and what an amazing impact that the fruit and buying their fruit and making it possible for a poor farmer to actually export his fruit and provide it to you on your market. What kind of positive impact that had, that we said, well, we can't just leave it on the ground. We can't just leave all these experiences to a few people, few lucky people who are winning our competition or for somehow get an opportunity to go down to the farm. No, we have to communicate all this back here as well, which is why I'm standing here today, which is why we're doing as much as we can on all kinds of political events. We go and we go to all kinds of sustainability seminars. We're going to go to conferences. We go to Almedalsveckan, the Swedish political week. We go to universities a lot. We try and engage as much as we can because we believe that this message is too strong to just keep it for ourselves. So, did I miss any countries? No, that's pretty much it. So that's the core of the program. So, what is it that we see when we go down on the farms? We see lots of different things. This is very, very different farms. It's very different in terms of scale. Some of the farmers are just one guy who has 3 trees. That's it. Maybe even just one. You know, so those mangoes that he's going to harvest are very, very precious to him. Sometimes it's a big farm that are employing maybe 1,000 people and has a really big factory that can crush all the fruit, put it in big bags and send it up to Europe for you guys to consume it. But it doesn't really matter what kind of scale it is that we go to. We always come out of it very, very positive and very amazed that, hey, such a simple thing like putting an orange in your grocery basket or a banana or a passion fruit. I'm not just talking about processed fruit. Of course, that's my thing. I'm working with Froosh and we process the fruit. But I'm saying all kinds of fruit. Actually, pretty much all stuff besides diamonds, and there's a few issues with oil and so on as well. But those things, in all kinds of fruit that you buy from a developing country, that's a good thing. Then you're actually supporting a farmer. Isn't that too naive? Isn't that too simplistic? Well, yeah, there's a bunch of mouths to feed on the way, same as in the clothing industry, right? There's a bunch of steps in that value chain, and we should work on improving that, definitely. Should it be transparent? Definitely. But it's a good thing to do it. It's very simple. Let's go out and do it. What we see is that it's actually building schools. Suddenly the farm sees that all its farmers' kids are walking around outside. They can't go to school, it's too far. It might be like 10 kilometers to go to school. A 4-year-old can't go that anyways. They don't have a car, of course, if you're living in Malawi. You might go to school 1 day a week, right? Maybe. And most likely that school will be under a tree, yes. And most likely it will be your aunt who's teaching, because there's no teachers there, definitely. That is life. I'm standing at the world's best education system, Finland. You have that, right? Can you imagine that? That is reality. That is life to a lot of people still. 1 day of school with your brother who's teaching, whatever, right? So suddenly the farms, they see that if they have to motivate their farmers and their workers, then they need to, of course, make better conditions for their workers' kids. Otherwise, you can't integrate them into the value chain. So they're building schools, building health clinics as well, in order to make sure that if there's a problem out on the farm, then of course the farmer can get medical care. Building roads, all kinds of infrastructure, internet, reception to call on the phone, all those things that, hey, welfare state, you guys, some of you must have studied some kind of political science. Isn't this like a governmental responsibility? Roads, infrastructure, schools, health clinics? Yes, indeed it is. Particularly if you come with our social democracy perspective on it. Yet it's not being done. It's just not. And then it's the small private businesses' responsibility. If they want to change the world, they have to do it themselves. So that's what they start to build. Start to build the schools themselves, build the health clinics, try to work with the various NGOs in the area to see if they can make a joint force. It's quite remarkable and very, very admirable. I find that a small private business is actually investing so much of their time and resources in making life better for not just the farmers at his own farm, but for the entire surrounding area. Because you can't make an A and B team in a poor country, not in a least developed country. You can't. And when I say A and B team, that means that you can't make one little rich farm. And those guys who are lucky enough to go and work on that farm, they have a nice life, and then the rest, they don't. It doesn't work like that. You need to get the chief's approval, you need to get the local approval, blah, blah, blah. You have to make a big holistic approach in order to make it a good thing for the entire community. That's just how it works, which is a good thing. So, talking about trade, how when you do buy a banana, we do think it's a good thing, right? Then some of the, unfortunately, not so good things that we have seen on all our many, many visits with fruit farmers working in developing countries is that NGOs and charities, I'm sure with great intentions, originally at least, end up not even just keeping the status quo, but actually hurting the environment for building anything sustainable. And why is that? I would say, in general, it's a mix of having it done this way so for so many years, right? If you're thinking of working in an organization in Kenya, and you've been doing this for so many years, and all you can think about is that the only way that the world can ever become better is that if we channel a lot of our donations money from Finland to Kenya, then that's how you think. You can't think of it differently. And you'll start to think that private businesses, and the government as well, is actually your enemies, unfortunately. Also, there's a way of how the budgets are constructed. Is that you have to spend all your money before December 1st, because then otherwise the back office of that NGO will say, the money has to come back. So the priorities that you will do whenever you have to spend those money quick and fast, what do you think that will be? It's not rocket science. Will it be good, valid, sustainable projects that you're going to invest in? No, unfortunately not. What we've seen very often is a crop like a tomato, which is very cheap and very fast and very easy to grow. So it's a crop that many NGOs like to give out. Tomatoes and onions, I would say, is very popular crops. Give them out to poor farmers that don't have anything. If you give, let's say, 800 farmers that are living in the same little village, if you all give them a tomato plant at the very same day, what will happen after 6 months? Which is the time that it takes for a tomato plant to grow. What do you think? Someone?
A lot of ketchup.
Excuse me?
A lot of ketchup.
A lot of ketchup. That's right. That's a good one. Yeah. A lot of ketchup, unfortunately, right? You can't use it for anything, right? You can't sell it to the local market because everybody else will be selling it. It's quite simple. It's very basic economy, but it's just what's going to happen when you don't think long term. Unfortunately, it's not sustainable at all. I have examples of fruit farmers that are actually reaching out to the NGOs and saying, let's try and see if we can work together, make a public or private enterprise in this, even get the government to work. So we are a three-way partnership, which is, in my book, perfect scenario, right? If you can get both the private sector, the government, and the NGOs to work together on making the better future, wow, right? That's what we have to do. But most NGOs are just refusing because as a